you have to scale yourself to scale anything in your life. In dating, you really have to get to know yourself, right? And have a plan. In business, you want to do the same. And then what you have to realize is it's always going to feel a little bit uncomfortable when you're in that present moment. But every time you act in that moment of uncertainty, that's where growth comes. So just know that whether it's in dating or in business, the more you do something, the more you get back up, even if you've been punched in the mouth, you get back up and you do it again, you're going to build more skills, and building skills is what leads to confidence. It's not just looking in the mirror.
Hello, everyone. I am Bela Gandhi, and welcome to the Firestarter Podcast. So today we're talking about how to build a personal brand that attracts premium clients consistently without having to chase, convince, or over-explain, because frankly, that's exhausting. And I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball here today. We're going to take this conversation beyond business too, because honestly, the same principles apply to dating too. And to have this conversation, I am so excited for today's guest, Bela Gandhi. She's the founder and CEO of Smart Dating Academy, my personal dating coach, and one of the most trusted voices in modern dating. And she has such an incredible personal brand and business to back it up. So she's the perfect person to be joining us today for this conversation. Bela truly understands what it takes to make someone feel like an obvious yes, both in business and across the table on a first date. So let's connect the dots between brand, dating, identity, and what it takes to be magnetic. So stay with us till the end too, because I'll share a little bit more also about how our team here at Firestarter applies these very same principles directly into your own brand with support from our team. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Bela. I'm so thrilled to have you here.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
So Bela, you basically know everything, so I'm sure we could catch up on a lot, but we'll leave some things for after the show as well.
I love that.
So to give a little bit of context for today's conversation, I feel like we should kind of give a little bit of the backstory for our listeners on how we actually first connected and met, because it's a great story.
Tell the story, Willa.
So I was in Chicago. I think it was very cold, as it usually is in Chicago in the winter. I think it was January of 2022. I was there for a client thing, and I was seated next to what I discovered to be a mutual friend, Dana Suskin, who's an amazing person as well. And she knew I was, single, freshly divorced mom. And so I was getting grilled about my dating life. And she's like, oh my goodness, you have to meet my friend Bela. She's like this amazing dating coach. She's on the Today Show. She's amazing. So she connected us, I think, via text. And we got on the phone pretty quickly after I got back from Chicago. And the rest is history, we got on the phone and I was just sold. So I think there's so much there. I would just love to walk through a little bit of your journey, how you got to where you are today, being, I know a little bit about your personal journey, kind of being the person who just had a knack for giving great dating advice to then, building this really premium brand and business that you have and really becoming such a, national authority on dating and just this brand and person that people just instantly trust like I did.
Oh, well, thank you. Believe it or not, Willa, my roots in dating started back in college when I was every bad dater. For all of you that are listening, if you liked red flag, kind of, edgy bad guys, that was me. Bring them in. And I quickly realized that the common denominator in all of my heartbreaks was me. I'm like, why am I picking these people? And there was no dating advice. I don't know about you, but I never went to dating school. So I thought, well, my parents are immigrants from India. They met on a Sunday. They got engaged on Thursday. They got married 72 hours later. So that was not a tree that I was going to bark up to get any good dating advice. So I did what any nerdy business school student would do, go to the library and start reading about psychology, reading about love. And so I started to go, oh my God, this is crazy. There's a way to do this. So I started to put my own method together, which helped me to start dating my now husband of 28 years. I put my college roommate through this, who's now happily married for 26 years. I started teaching all of my friends. And now, mind you, I'm an M&A person, worked in finance after college, then joined my family's manufacturing business. So all the while, this was just like the thing that I was known for doing. So then when we sold our family business to a Dutch multinational, I was on a 5-year non-compete. And this was really the thing that had always lit up my soul. I always joke I should have been a psychology major, but in any case, I self-studied it, even starting in college. And then I started this business in 2009. And I thought, everybody around me is telling me, teach us that thing that you've taught, or teach the world what you've taught us. And so that was how I started the business in 2009. And it was, knock on wood, it's been the best decision ever.
I love this. Well, we're lucky to have you in the space, Bella, and so fortunate that our paths crossed when they did.
I'm so happy they did.
And, I have to say, it's just been like this fascinating journey for me, building my own business and, premium personal brand and business, while working with you, while dating all at the same time. Like, it's kind of been impossible to ignore the parallels. It really feels like there's just so many parallels between sales psychology and dating psychology, and the same things that we say, attract, don't chase, hold your standards, own your value. I mean, is it just me? Am I making this up, or is there something to that?
No, there's absolutely something to that, right? It's like partner search is a search, right? It's one of the most important things we ever do in our life is the person that we end up partnering with, maybe marrying, having a kid with, or like having a companion later in life. And like any search, right? I mean, there are certain things. Number one, we need to do a little bit of introspection and find out, who am I? What makes me happy? And what is my vision? What am I looking for, right? And that's the first step, whether you're looking for a new client, whether you're looking to start a new business, or whether you're looking to find the lid to your pot.
Totally. I would love to know, like, do you think you always have you just command such a presence, you have such a kind of like just natural, what feels like this just kind of like natural, kind of like high sense of self-worth? Like, what has been the journey for you, both in business and in life, right? So like, what has been that journey for you? Like, anything you could offer our listeners, who are on that journey and trying to kind of show up in that way for themselves?
I think it's just about knowing that you are perfect as you are. And in any room that you walk into or any date that you walk into, right? We all feel that like sense of, oh my gosh, I don't want to be rejected, right? I don't want to fail at this. But what I tell people in the business world, as well as the dating world, is 2 words: expect acceptance. And immediately I tell myself that to this day before I walk into any room. Close your eyes, and when it kind of becomes that little mantra before you walk through any door, expect acceptance. And it just makes you feel like the powerful version of you, so you can be your most authentic self.
I love that. I imagine, you were kind of talking about, just kind of like how this shows up, as people are, evolving along their journeys and, learning to show up differently. I would love, from your experience working with clients. I mean, I know in our work, working with clients at Firestarter, kind of watching how there can be this just like real identity shift, as they are leveling up their brands, their businesses, their whole kind of like confidence, energy, presence just shifts. And I wonder if you kind of like see some of those same things, as you're working with clients along their, dating journeys.
Yeah, their confidence definitely increases. And let me make sure, am I answering your question in the right way? Like, how do we see the leveling up?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like I feel like it's a similar journey. And, if you're trying to, level up your business, level up your brand, it kind of has to start inside. And if you're trying to attract, higher caliber matches, that also has to start inside. That's kind of my theory.
Listen, I couldn't agree with you more. The first thing, you have to scale yourself to scale anything in your life, right? And what you said is exactly right. So I think in dating, you really have to get to know yourself, right? And have a plan. In business, you want to do the same. And then what you have to realize is it's always going to feel a little bit uncomfortable. It's always going to feel a little bit uncertain when you're in that present moment. But every time you act in that moment of uncertainty, that's where growth comes. Every date you go on, right, might not be the love of your life, might be a good brunch story, but you did it and you've learned something from it. And it's like doing the reps anywhere you build your confidence. It's the same thing in the business world, right? It's like the very first media interview I did, I just didn't want to vomit right on the set. I didn't sleep a wink all night. I was pacing. I was so nervous, right? Because I was afraid, oh my gosh, I'm not a good public speaker. I'm not going to be good at this. And ultimately I got through it and it went okay. And then I did a second and a third. And then as you continue to do the reps, you just build your confidence. So just know that whether it's in dating or in business, the more you do something, the more you get back up, even if you've been punched in the mouth, you get back up and you do it again, you're going to build more skills, and building skills is what leads to confidence. It's not just looking in the mirror.
I think that's such a good point. And like we talk about that a lot, and I talk about that a lot, kind of like that it's through action, and through the reps, we like build that muscle.
Yes.
That, confidence is something that is like a muscle that is built versus something that you just innately have, except for a few people, maybe who, came into life with that, but it truly is a muscle.
Yes, you're right.
And I think, along those lines, I was just thinking as you were saying, I think it's also, there's like a level of self-permission and just, I think you were saying expect acceptance. And I think along those same lines, just starting to like expect a little bit better for yourself, how you show up in all domains of life, giving yourself permission to show up with that higher standard, with, that kind of like bigger, bolder version of yourself, from a place of, confidence and hope and, vision versus kind of, well, this is probably the best I can get.
Yeah, no S word, no settling. No settling,
Exactly.
No settling anywhere, right? You don't want to settle for someone that isn't treating you right or has red flags or is inconsistent or unreliable, right? Because then you're saying, I'm not worth somebody. I'm not worth someone that's going to treat me really well. Of course you are. You're worth the whole pie, not just the crumbs. And it's the same thing in the business world. Like if you're talking to a client and oh gosh, this person just seems really negative, or like nothing is going to satisfy them or whatever, it's okay to say, I don't want a second date. Maybe I have a referral for you for someone that might be a better fit for you. And it's okay to do all of these things. I'm telling everybody, Willa, 2026 is the year to know yourself and to use your voice.
I love that. Another word that I personally love, and all about is alignment, kind of like acting in alignment. And, there's enough fish in the sea. There's enough, potential clients in the, and really approaching everything from that place of alignment and just and trust, that using that as a filter, right, to attract the aligned opportunities, the aligned matches, and then, trusting from there.
Exactly. It's like living in integrity, right? If you know how you want to feel in a relationship, right, which is probably supported with somebody that treats you kindly, that you're attracted to, that is consistent, reliable, right? Why would you accept less than that?
Absolutely. So I kind of want your framework, your cheat code. If someone was ready, they're right, great. 2026. I am all about 2026. So Bela, I admire everything that you've built, your whole mindset framework. How do I personally, begin to build a brand and a business like you have, and maybe, score a few dates at the same time?
Well, I think about the business, right? The best thing to do is get really, really freaking good at what you're doing, right? And come from a place of love for the people that you serve, right? When your mission is to truly serve and to give to your clients and to elevate them, I think the rest becomes easy. If your mission is to give, right? And if you think about how can I be the best for my clients so that they turn into amazing fans, you will begin to do the right thing. And therefore, you will develop the raving fans and you will develop the wonderful brand. But it starts with the ethos. It starts with that vision of, I want to give people more than I receive.
Well, you're such a walking, talking example of that, Bella. You've been so generous, with me, with your time and with your insights. And, you just exude that in everything that you do. So,
Oh, well, right back at you.
Thank you. Thank you. On the flip side, you encounter a lot of women, you encounter a lot of people, and I know you work with men as well.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a mistake that you kind of commonly see, ambitious, successful people making in dating? And maybe there's a parallel that you see in business as well?
I think we rely too much on chemistry, Willa, and therefore we move too fast. And I think, chemistry is lust at the end of the day, right? It's not compatibility. And the only way that we can look at, I'm going to go back to one of your words, alignment, right? How do we know that? It's by pacing things slowly. So I think we're so driven visually and then also through old patterns to repeat the same things over again, like young Bella, who was exactly like any of you that are out there. I get you. I was you, right? And it's really just slowing things down. Number one, saying, I want to do the reps with this person. I want to go on a bunch of dates over several months before I agree to get exclusive, because people show up very differently 15 dates in than they do on the first 2 or 3 dates. And then even after you get exclusive, I like watching people's relationships for 4 seasons, right? How does this person react when there's a disagreement, when there's a misunderstanding, when you need something from them, when you're sick, right? What happens then? And really kicking the tires to make sure that this person is good for you. So I think we live in a society of threes. 3-day rule. I'm like, who the hell made up that rule, right? Get rid of that, shred that. Slowing things down, you cannot go wrong.
And again, to kind of bring in the business lessons as well, I know that, you work with Lindsay, I believe, on your team, who's been with you for a long time. And again, that's kind of this like playing it for the long game, slowing things down. And, rather than, I've been in the season of hiring, rather than kind of like that first blush chemistry. Oh, this is all going to be great. We're going to do all these big things. It's like, no, it's actually so much more important, how those relationships, I've got a couple of team members who've been on my team for over 5 years, and it's how those relationships, the consistency plays out over time, Yeah,
Absolutely.
just another parallel.
Yeah, you're right, Willa. Hiring people, right? It's like you're hiring people to be on your team, a partner to some extent, not to be crass. It's like another hire. It's like, you're going to be my life partner and my partner. And it's like the partner that will affect every other part of your life. It's the most important hire.
And sometimes there are those kind of like first blush conversations that are just like, oh, this is so exciting. This is such a great match. But I've, honestly, kind of in the client area as well, I've found, over 15 years of being in business, those are the ones that kind of tend to fizzle, that start out the hottest.
Right. What starts fast ends fast, usually, right?
I have heard that from you before, Bella. Not talking about business.
I have to say that to so many people, because our gut is to rush in, right? And our gut is, I just know this person's really good for me, and I want to put my blinders on and just focus on this person. And I use the blinders. It already sounds judgmental. I don't mean it that way, but it's kind of like, I want to stop my dating funnel and just date this person exclusively. And what ends up happening is, over that time, then we discover those red flags in a person, right? Whether we have other people in the hopper or not. So my philosophy from a dating standpoint is always, why not have other people in the hopper at the same time? And that way, if you have to let one go because they are inconsistent, they're not giving you what you want, right? They're unreliable, they're avoidant, whatever it is, it doesn't hurt quite as much, because you can kind of bounce right back because you've got 3 other people that you're still talking to. And it makes us less prone to settle, right? It's like, if you think about it, if you've got 5 clients that you're potentially, talking to, and you've got space for one, you're going to make a way better choice for you when you've got all of those options to really make sure that this client is going to align with the culture of your company, and they're going to be fun to work with, right? And you're going to have that good communication back and forth. So slowing things down.
Totally, totally. And, you just described it and touched on it. And, this is first and foremost a business show. And I would be remiss to not get Bella's, we talk about funnels all the time, but what you're talking about here is a dating funnel. And I love how you have kind of taken that, principle from business and applied it to dating strategy. So can you just walk us through, because we're usually talking about other kinds of funnels. Sure. Can you talk us through, what is a dating funnel and kind of how do you do that?
Yeah. And so to create a dating funnel, right? Number one, the purpose is just what I described. It's to diversify your dating risks. Okay. So having many irons in the fire helps you not settle, and it doesn't hurt as much if somebody or two flakes out or goes. So how do you build a dating funnel? You use 3 candidate pipelines, right? It's using the apps to find people, or you can meet them in real life at events, at interest groups, on planes, trains, automobiles, or you can have people in your network start to set you up on great dates with people that they think would be aligned with you. So those are the 3 candidate pipelines of how you actually can start to date and build that dating funnel.
I love that. I love that. Well, Bela, this has just been such an amazing conversation, as I knew it would be. Looking ahead to 2026, if someone really wants to, step into their next level this year, inspired by everything that you've been sharing with us, in love and in leadership, what's the first, since we've been talking about it really starts inside, what's the first commitment that they should make really with themselves? What's the first action that they should take?
I think if you feel like you're stuck somewhere, right? And you want to really level up, for me, and I know you're the same, right? I have business coaches and mentors. I think really bring someone on board. This is a business podcast, right? You're probably successful professional people listening to this. Get help in the areas that you need. If you want to become a great golfer, get a golf coach. You want to become a great dater, get a dating coach to make sure you don't end up in harm's way. And I think that really investing in yourself as the founder or as an executive will pay dividends in any aspect of your life. If I wouldn't invest in myself, I wouldn't continuously be learning and growing for my clients.
Absolutely. Such good advice. And for those of you out there listening, if you do need some support in the dating arena, absolutely look Bela up, which leads me to my next question. How can our listeners find you, Bela?
So you can go to the Smart Dating Academy podcast. We have almost 200 episodes on the podcast with different experts, me, people from my team, clients that come back to talk about their journeys and their love stories with us. You can also follow me on Instagram at Smart Dating Academy. And most importantly, come to our website and fill out a contact form. You can get on our email list and know first all the cool things that we're doing, the workshops we're running. And that also could, if you feel like, you are really ready to transform your dating life, fill out a form like Willa did. Well, Willa didn't have to because she had a referral and
got the shortcut.
Get on our wait list for our VIP coaching.
I love that. I love that. And your podcast is so good. So just a plug for that.
Well, you're going to be on my podcast.
I can't wait. I can't wait. Well, thank you so much, Bela. I've loved this conversation. And for all of our listeners, if this episode sparked something for you and you're realizing through this conversation that maybe, it's not just about your marketing as you're building your brand and your business, but, there's something deeper going on here, your identity, your standards, the way you lead, that's totally aligned with the work that we do here at Firestarter. And I want to invite you to learn more about our signature program, Firestarter Brand Accelerator. It's our high-touch program for experts and entrepreneurs just like you who are ready to up-level their brand, offers, and systems with our team working closely alongside of you. So the link to learn more is in the show notes. And also, please be sure to subscribe to the Firestarter podcast on YouTube on my channel, Willa Kammerer. That's Kammerer. And also leaving us a quick review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify goes such a long way in helping our message reach more people who are ready to step into their next level in brand, business, and life. So thank you so much for listening, and I will see you in the next episode.